Hi, welcome to Allbrands After Hours with me, Courtney Douthat. Welcome to the show where we usually hang out and craft together. However, today we're going over Brothers Canvas Workspace. So one of the #1 comments we get on any of the videos that I post is, Courtney, what about Brothers Canvas? Can you explain Brothers Canvas? But there's a thing called Brothers Canvas. Have you ever used Brothers Canvas? Why is it great to use Brothers Canvas? What about Brothers Canvas? So I've seen you, I hear you. We're gonna go over Brothers Canvas. Now, Brothers Canvas is the free software that Brothers gives you with your ScanNCut. And you can use it or you don't have to use it. It's kind of a extra tool, extra feature that they've given you, but it's free, so why not use it? So I love Brothers Canvas. I think it's really, really great. There's so many projects and everything like that, and I feel like I'm always saying, hey guys, don't forget to use Brothers Canvas, but we haven't done a dedicated video, or I haven't done a dedicated video on it. So today we're going to do an overview of Brothers Canvas. That way we can dip your toes into it. It's a lot. It's a really cool things that you can do on it, so I definitely plan to do more videos, but let's go ahead and take a look at it. So there's two different Brothers Canvases. There's Canvas Workspace, the app, and there's Canvas Workspace, the website. They're both great. There are some differences between the two. The biggest differences that I've seen personally is that the Brothers app that you download to your computer, it actually has way more functions and more fonts and different things than the web-based one. I personally use both. I feel like the web-based one is super user-friendly, so if you're just starting out, it's very much like your ScanNCut, like all features. I mean, they both are, but if you don't want to be limited and you want to be able to do the extra stuff, then the app's pretty great. So I've been leaning more towards the app because I want all the cool features and all the fonts and everything like that, but they're both great in their own ways. There's not a huge difference between them, but those are the differences that I've personally seen. So we're gonna go over a little bit of both. I'll show you both, but let's go over the app first. Alrighty, so welcome to my my computer. So when you sign into Brothers Canvas, or when you go into Brothers Canvas, the app, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to bring up this right here, which are all the cool different projects that you can do that Brothers gives you for free. They never delete them. They're all here. And if you notice, right here are Valentine projects, because Brothers is awesome and they make sure that they keep the projects that are like holiday or pertaining to whatever season we are at the top. So that way you can kind of get them a little quicker. So Valentine's Day is the next big thing coming up. So right there. And then after that, if you look, there was the Christmas ones that they had put up at the top when it was Christmas time. Tons of Christmas ones. Here's some Thanksgiving ones, Halloween ones, you kind of get the gist. So they're pretty great about keeping them like that. However, if you don't want to scroll and look through them all, you can actually come here to the search bar and type in anything. Like if I wanted to put in mother for Mother's Day, if I wanted to get a jump start on that, or my mom's birthday or something's coming up, then it's going to pull up every project that has to do with mothers. If on the flip side I want to do fathers, then I can click in fathers, hit enter, and every project that has to do with fathers is going to come up. You could even put in like heart. Then every single project that had anything to do with heart is going to come up. So you kind of get the gist. You can do holidays, you can do shapes. I mean, really anything that you can think of, you can type in there, and any projects that it has with whatever it is you typed in and search will come up. So with anything that you search will come up. So let's say if I wanted to do paper, if I want paper projects to come up. Well, here's all the paper projects that Brothers Canvas has. So quite a few of them that I wanted to do on there. So you don't even have to be just a shape or a person or something like that. You can actually do material as well. So it's definitely, and they even give you a few suggestions of different ones that you can type in. But that way it gives you a little bit of a general guide. So if we just clear it out, hit enter, it's going to bring us back to here with all the projects. And let's actually click a project just to look at a quick overview. We're not going to stay long because we've got a lot to cover. So let's do this one right here. Candy shaped gift boxes. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I love it. So what it's actually doing is, if you see this, it looks like little mats. So it's giving us each part of the design as if it was on its own mat, and we could bring in each of them individually. And it's even showing us a cute picture of what they're supposed to look like, which is helpful because I'm a visual person. So they also give you this cute little video. If you click right here, it'll bring you to Brothers YouTube channel and show you how to do that project step by step, which is really, really cool. All the newer videos have that. I think the really old ones that they did right when they started don't have videos. Majority, if not most, have videos. You also get the recipe, which is kind of funny. The recipe is the design. That's what they mean. There's no food involved. So if I were to click this, I can open it. And there it's giving me a step-by-step guide of how to do that project. So cool. I love this. I love that they added this because they didn't have to. They could have just been like, hey, here's some free project, you're welcome. But they've taken the time to do a step-by-step guide of paper, you know, that you could print out if you wanted to, just to have on your screen, and a video tutorial. So depending on what you prefer, if you prefer seeing it that way or prefer it being laid out this way, they give you that option to do both. And I think this is a Christmas one. It kind of looks Christmas, it says be joyful. But this could easily be changed into a Valentine one. If I wanted to do gift boxes for my son's class, all I would have to do is get some cardstock or even some wrapping paper in a pretty Valentine color, or just like how they have theirs with the little polka dots. I could get that, do a ton of them really quickly, and then instead of be joyful, I don't have to use that part. And I could put in from John or from Alex, from one of my sons or something like that with a heart. And then it's Valentine's Day. So really cool projects that they give you completely free, which I think is just insanely cool. So that was a project, and honestly, one day we could do a video and do some of these projects. They're so cool. So those are the projects, but they have different things like pattern collections. If you select right here, these are all the different ones that you can purchase. Where you have the physical one, like our rotary auto blade kit. If you have a rotary auto blade kit, this would show as active, not activated. This is my work account, not my personal account. But if I had purchased the tattered lathes collections, those would show activated. There's different ones that you can purchase that are pre-done cut files that Brother offers. So if you purchased any of them, there's what they would be. And then if you had any of the Disney, same concept. So if we click out of this and we didn't want those, we come here, which is your edit screen, your already made screen. But if you did want to bring that screen back up that we just had, you just select right here and it will bring that back up for you. So there's so much you can do. There's so many different things. So it's quite a lot. All right, so I guess we'll just jump into it. Now, they have different shapes. You select right here all of your shapes and you can scroll down. There's more shapes in there, which is really, really cool. But you have this on your machine, so it's nothing new if you're used to your machine. So let's bring in a heart like this, and then there's your heart. They also have borders. You could bring in a border. All the different little borders. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. And then different words that are already been pre-designed, pre-made are in here, and you can edit those and you can edit any of them. So those are different shapes and different things that you can bring in. If we had right here, we could bring in text. If we wanted to bring in text, we can bring in an image. So if we already had an SVG image, we could bring it in. If we wanted to bring in a picture of something and turn it into a cut file, drawing file, something we could edit. If we wanted to create a line or a path, if we wanted to freehand a path, we could do that. So let's go ahead and let's go in. So we brought in a shape, which is our heart right here. And if we click it, all these things come up. And these are all editing features that we could do. So all the different editing features. So say I'm going to bring in another image right here. Say I have this square and I've decided, oh, okay, I'm gonna put it over here. Oh no, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Well, I can just hit back and it'll put it back to where it was. And the same thing, you could go forward or backwards, wherever you want to be, undo, and then you want to redo. You can kind of keep changing your mind back and forth. So this one right here is your cursor. Your cursor is to select things, move things, anything like that. But say we had this right here, which is your hand tool. Your hand tool is going to grab, but it's not editing anything. See, if I select this, it's not going to change anything. This is just to help move. So say if we had here with our magnifying glass, and it was magnified really far in, and I'm editing here because I wanted to see really closely, but man, I wish I could go up. Well, I could select these right here and go up or side to side or however, but I could also select this hand tool And this hand tool could bring me to wherever I want it to go and put me in the exact spot that I want to go. So the hand tool is really helpful. The select tool right here, that's actually going to select things and change things and move things and, you know, change things and move things and stuff like that. But if I want to make sure I'm not going to accidentally move something I don't want, then the hand tool is really helpful for that. And you see how I just moved that? Well, I don't want that. I'm going to go back. And it perfectly puts it back for me. So super, super helpful. Love that. So we talked about the zoom. You can zoom in however much you want. Now the cut's pretty cool. So see, we have this box right here selected. Then I could tell it, hey, I want that to be the cut line. Oh no, I want that to be a draw line. So that way when I put it over to my machine, it's already sorted what I want it to draw and what I want it to cut. And there's no accidental cutting the wrong thing that I don't want to cut, which is really, really handy. But I want to make that a cut line. All right, so the next one right here is, if you've ever used paint, I feel like this is kind of similar. This is fill in colors. So if I'm like, oh, I want this whole thing to be filled in red, and you can select your colors exactly, then it's going to fill that whole square in as red. Well, I don't like that, so we can go back. So I like that you can do that. Also, the outer line of it, you can decide you want it to be a different color, and it will automatically change it into a different color, which is really great, so you have that feature. If I want that line to be darker, or I'm sorry, if I want that line to be bigger, I can tell it, hey, be bigger. If I want it to have dashes instead of lines, you can kind of do that. So this is when you go into the more detailed creating part of it, which is pretty cool. So I like it like this, and I want a smaller line. There we go, and I can make it exactly like I want it to be. So those are the ones that are up there, which are just some basic editing functions. Now if you were to actually come to the design, say we select the square, and I decide, you know what, I'm going to edit it, and I want it to come over here, I want it to be a triangle, I want it to be this or that, you could do that by clicking those. And you could also hover over it and decide, do you want to edit it like this? So then that way, it's coming out. Now, how do you know which is which? You would select the center right here, and it's going to make those. So those are reshaping. However, if I unclick over to the side, it's going to put all these dots on there, and that's the resize ones. Now, if I wanted to spin it, rotate it of any kind, I could do that. However, I do want to remind you that if you see this red dash right here, that is the no man's zone. So you don't want to go outside of that, because if you go outside of that, like how these currently are, the machine's not going to see those. You lose that part of your design. So make sure your design is inside the red dashed lines, and you'll be good. And I like that they have canvas as a mat. Like, this is the same mat that would be on there. So if you're used to measuring out with your mat, it's kind of easier to see, be like, oh, well, halfway mark I know is 6 inches. You know, oh, this is going to be 2 inches. And if you notice the red line is kind of inside of that, don't worry, it's still the full square. I don't know why they do it like that, but it's still the full square, but just make sure it's inside of that, just to be cautious, So, all right, so if we select this item right here and it's highlighted, you notice that these light up. This is your properties. Right here, this little paintbrush is your property tools. So again, you can decide if you want it to be a draw or cut line. You can decide if you want to fill or just make it a line, how wide or big or anything. If we had text, we could edit our text. Now, let's see, if I were to select this guy, so if I was to select this and put it right here, so now we have 2 different pieces. Well, I'm editing one at a time. What if I want to edit both? Well, what you do is you would come over here, click, and drag. And now you've selected both. So now they're together and you can kind of move them together. Well, I don't want that, I just want that one. Well, you unclick and then select the other one, and now you can edit that. So same concept, I want to put them together. There we go. I want them to be separate. There you go. So kind of neat just to be able to move stuff pretty quickly. All right, so let's take these away and let's bring in some text. Let's put in Allbrands. Okay, lovely. And if you notice, she still has the same editing where we can resize like this. So we have Allbrands here, and we can always change the font. If we don't like the font, we want it to be a different font. Oh, that's, don't think I've ever seen our logo in that font. So we can change that. We can, We can add the spacing however we want. If we want it to be more spaced out or spaced in. We can also make it dashes if we wanted to make dashes, or make the line thicker if we wanted to make it thicker, just like how we could do with the shapes we could do with our fonts, which that's kind of cool looking. All right, so let's finish off over here, then we'll jump over here because I know there's more cool stuff to do over here, but let's finish off here. All right, so there we go. So SVG right here, SVG will bring in, if you had a cut file already, we of course import a cut file. I don't currently have a cut file, but if I wanted to bring one in that was already there, so import from your computer a cut file. If I wanted to image tracing is really cool. So if you're familiar with your ScanNCut, you know that you can scan anything in and it's automatically going to change it into a cut file or draw file, whatever you prefer. Image tracing is that. So it's like scanning it into your machine, but it's scanning it into your Canvas workspace, just like you would have into your machine. So you can do an image scan from your machine and send it directly here, or an image from your computer. So say we brought in this guy right here. Very cute little ladybug, appropriate for Valentine's Day coming up. Well, I want to bring him in. Nothing special about him. I just typed in Valentine's Day, saw this cute ladybug, and decided, oh, I want this. I want to create this. So you have different options with this guy. You can trace just the outer parts of him, or you can say, no, I want the inner parts too. So I want the hearts that are on his belly. I want his little face. But if I had just wanted the outer parts, then I could have had that. But all right, preview looks good to me. I like it. So we're going to hit OK. And then it's going to bring him in. How cool is that? And now we could actually keep editing and edit him if we wanted to, or anything like that. So currently it has a cut file. The cut file is now where you see the traced around him, because remember I said innards and outwards. So every single one of these hearts, all of his little face, it's now turned into a cut file. But this is just if I want to edit it, resize it, or anything like that. So he is now there, which I think is really, really neat. So you can really bring in anything. So that's your scanning, like you would have scanned it into your machine. That is your scanning right there. So this one right here, I really like to show, especially with this guy. So I'm going to zoom in. This is your path. So your path is going to create a little line. So say I make a little line over here like this. With that, I could make a little triangle if I wanted to, which is super neat. What I personally like to do with path is I am going to go in just a bit so we can see him really well. So if you notice, all of my little legs look really cool, but for some reason he's got a weird chin leg. I don't like that. So I'm going to select this while path is selected. And so while path is selected, I'm going to come right here, and if you see there's a little bitty circle, let me zoom in more. There's a little bitty circle. So I'm going to put it right here where I think it would be best, and then put it to that part. So now, there we go. So now I've created a little line right there. Now, if you see that there's a bunch of little lines, well, I can now reshape it if I want to reshape it any. So I think, let me see. Yeah, it does look a little funny, so I'm going to double click it, and now I can reshape it into whatever I want. Now, it's not the most perfect line. It's going to give me a straight line. So say I delete that out. I just click it and I hit delete on my computer. Well, if I wanted to come here to freehand path, well, now I could put the same concept and put it there. Looks cute. Now I can edit it, make that that line longer. I mean, I could move it if I want to, but I like how it looks. So let's say we had hello here. Well, if I clicked on hello, however, if we come here, this is our editing screen. So this right here is where you can select the different width and height. This is where it's located on the mat. So say I wanted it to be located at a particular spot on the mat. If I had a heart right here and I wanted to make sure that was the center of the heart and I didn't want to drag and bring it over there, well, I could have these bring it there for me. And then I know exactly where it's at on my mat. This is for, of course, the height and width. Now, if you notice, I'm selecting the width and the height's automatically doing it. If I select this right here, maintain aspect ratio, which is currently selected, if I unselected it, well, I click on my width, well, my height's not being messed with anymore. and vice versa. So if I selected my height, well, now my width's not. But if I maintain my aspect ratio and select it, look at that. Now they're all going together. And of course, you can hit resize and do it here. It's the same exact thing. So you don't have to do, unless you want to bring that over there, you don't have to. Now, transform. Transform is the different angles that we could do in flipping. So say if I wanted it to be a little bit crooked, I wanted to angle it a bit on my design, well, I could angle it a little bit, and it's telling me how much it's angled. So I'm going to bring it back to 0 because I want to angle it that way. Now, if I want to flip my design, I want it to go the other way. Say I'm using heat transfer vinyl, I'm going to flip my design. If I want to flip it horizontally, I think that's really cool because there's currently, I don't believe, a button that you can do that on the ScanNCut with just one click. You can, of course, rotate it until it's upside down, but there's not just an easy quick button, which I like. So, duplicate. Duplicate. If I wanted multiple on my page, well, it's going to put as many as it thinks can fit on this page. And it's going to duplicate it all automatically for me, which I think is super handy to have. Alrighty. So, I want to show you the alignment tools. So if I was to select a font and put in hello, and then, oh, I want to bring in a second one, then I'd put Allbrands. Well, now I've got both of them. So if I was to put them kind of together, oh, I want this one kind of on top of here. I'm going to move that one there. Okay? If I drag and drop, the alignment tools now come activated. This one brings everything to the left. This one brings everything to the center, so now they're perfectly centered. That word and that word have now been centered to each other. Oh, I want everything to the right. Oh, I want everything towards the top. I don't really want to do that because it covers up my letters, but you have that option if you want it. I want everything to be to the center, so I'm going to hit back because I don't want it sitting on top of each other, but it's nice if you had a different design and you wanted it to be like that. So we're going to click and then we're going to hold down our mouse until we go through both of them. So now they're both selected, and we're just going to say, hey, go to the center, which I think is probably one of the things that I use the most is centering things, because I can center by eye, and usually I'll usually center by eye, but if I can have it as a base point and then go, oh, maybe my eye feels like it needs to go this or that way, I now have that option. So I like having options. So if you notice, this one is not, it's grayed out. Well, even if we select both of them, it's still grayed out because this is when you have 3 options. So let's select another word. We're going to have after hours. Cute. Put a little space. There we go. All right, so we have after hours here. Well, I'm going to put after hours where I think it might be the closest. And then I'm going to click and drag to select multiple. Then I'm going to come here and it's going to perfectly align it this way. So now there's even spacing between each of these words. And now I'm going to select this one so it automatically will evenly put them this way. So now this is perfectly aligned with this, which is perfectly aligned with this. So it made like a little Christmas tree of the words that are perfectly aligned now. Now to my eye, I feel like I could probably make this one go over a little bit over, but to the machine, hey, this is the perfect alignment. So those are really cool options to have. Now you have dispute space this way. So if I was to select all of them, it could tell it, hey, horizontal dispute space like this, and it's going to perfectly lay it out for me. And of course, I can mess with the percentages of those horizontal disputes, so that way. But if I don't want to do that and I want to go back, okay, and select drag and select multiple. If I want to do vertical, so I could tell it how big I want that space to be, and then I could tell it, okay, vertical, that how much, wherever the amount that I put. Okay, 225, now go for it. And it's gonna go do it. Now, I know people will get nervous when they select it, and they're like, oh, it didn't automatically do it when I changed the size. It won't. You have to select whatever the icon is for it to go ahead and do that. So, all right, so we have our Hello Allbrands After Hours. We're going to go ahead and select them all, and I'm actually going to delete them. And the easiest way to show you the process overlay is with shapes. I mean, you could do it with letters, but I feel like shapes are so easy to do. So let's take this cute little star right here, and I'm going to bring in 2 of them. Okay, So I have my little stars here. They are beautiful, little wonderful things. My little stars right here. Well, if I decide, you know what, I want my stars touching, so then that way I can make like a banner of stars. I want a whole border of stars. Well, I could select and drag, select them both, and then I could come here to this weld tool and weld them together. And now if you notice, the little bitty points in the center are now gone, and she's one piece. So I could keep doing that if I wanted to and put another star and another star and another star if I wanted to. Now, okay, so if I was to bring in a font, say, that's cursive, so after, and then bring in another word, hours. Okay, well, what if I wanted to connect those? So those fonts would be together. So if I selected them both and then selected a font that was a cursive font, even though that one does look like a cursive font, but they're not connected, which is not what I want. Perfect. So these are cursive. Let's zoom in just a little bit better. Okay. So if I had these right here and I decided, oh, you know what? I really wish that this hours was connected to this and that these were one, so it looked like a continuous piece, but there's not. You can see that they're broken up. So zoom in even more. This is when the hand tool is nice, so you can move it around. Okay. So I mean, I could try for hours if I wanted to, trying to make sure that that was perfectly aligned and perfectly like I wanted it. And that's it. That was pretty good just by eye. But if I select both of them and come here, I could weld them together. And then that way they're now one piece and it is connected. So now they're one piece and they are connected and it looks like it's a continuous word, which is kind of neat. I think it's neat. So let's say that I had a shape like this, and I brought in a shape like this, and I want that shape to look like my heart has been broken, that it has been a big crack in it. So we're going to select both, and then I'm going to tell it to remove the overlap. Now it's taken the part inside of there and it's removed it like that, or I could tell it, hey, I want you to subtract. Well, now it looks like there's a big crack in my heart. My poor heart has been a giant crack in it. So that's how you kind of use the different overlap features. They're kind of neat when you're playing around with it and you need to do an editing. So say I scan something in and there's a bit that is still on there that I don't want. Like, oh, I don't want this little tail right here. Well, then you could just come here and select a random shape, whatever you want, and kind of use it as like a big eraser. So say I come over here and I hover it over that. I select both of them, tell it to subtract. Well, now that tail, that thing that I had there isn't there anymore. And I could get really detailed and say, hey, that little piece, delete that out. Hey, this part, delete it out, and use it like a giant eraser. So I really like the overlap tools, and that's what I mainly use them. Whew, that was a lot of information to throw at you guys. But Canvas is just got so much built in, and it's awesome that it comes free with your ScanNCut. So we'll definitely do more videos on Canvas, that way we can show you even more. Thank you to everyone who's liked and commented, and I'm really excited to see in the comments how excited you guys are to learn, because I'm excited to teach you how. So make sure you guys comment. Actually, just tell me where you're from. I want to know where everyone's from, where you're watching from. But thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you come back next week. We'll be doing even more projects and having more fun. I'll see y'all later. Y'all have a good night. Bye.